Welcome, Elliott. It's good to chat. We connected through the Prospect Networking Group and our mutual friends, Sue and Anne, in there. And it's good to be on air. And this afternoon, we're going to talk about your ebook. But before getting to that, a colleague of mine, John, is also a web designer. And we have this perennial discussion about which is best. And as you're a web designer, I'm going to ask you the question.
Go for it.
Okay, is it better to have a website designed, or is it better to use WordPress?
I think a bit of both.
Yep.
And what I suggest to a lot of people I deal with, because a lot of what I do is people that have got new businesses, things like that, and don't have a huge budget, which is where the book came about, in that you can actually start in WordPress for very little. And then when you're ready, you can have a site designed with all the extra bits and pieces, including, if you need to, that your budget's that tight, through WordPress.com. And I'm a huge fan of WordPress.com. And the site that goes along with the book was actually designed in WordPress.
All right, okay.
Completely runs in WordPress with quite a bit of customization and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if I just grab the link for a moment, whilst we're chatting, if I can get back, we can post links in the message column, and they will come up. So if you want to take a look at the site that was designed in WordPress, and
that's the test link that you've got there, Steve.
Oh right, okay.
I'll give you the public one now, as I built it and then converted it to WordPress.
Okay, yep.
There we go.
Right. Okay,
that link will take you to the site where you can buy it all rather than admire my work.
Yeah, all Blabs are a cooperative effort, and if I go wrong at any time, just steer me right, and
of course
we'll get there. Now,
while we're just talking about the book and everything else, there's 50% off to any of our listeners. I'll give the coupon code now and at the end.
Okay.
And if people go to the checkout and put that coupon code in, they will be able to get 50% off the cost and get the book for only £4.
Okay, that's good. All right. Okay, let's go on to the book then. What first gave you the idea to write the book?
I was helping a local children's entertainer called Rainbow Big Bottom in Chesham with some websites. And she doesn't have a huge budget for doing things. And I started making a list with her and her assistant of where you could get free stuff from. And I got about 4 or 5 items down the list. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll type you up a list in OpenOffice and send you the list with all the links. Got home that afternoon, started writing the list, and suddenly thought to myself, hang on a second, I'm at sort of 20 or 30 items here. This really ought to be a book.
Okay.
And that, in sort of a couple of paragraphs, is where the book came about.
Right. Okay. So that's the beginnings of the book. How did you actually create it? You said you started off just with an editor. How did you actually get to the publishing stage?
I wrote pretty much all of the book in OpenOffice.
Okay.
Apart from a few bits and pieces I'd done on my tablet in some software called Office Suite. And it was then put through OpenOffice to turn into a PDF, which is the format it's published in, so as many people as possible can use it. And then it got a final tweak and covers added that I'd made in Photoshop, and all put together using some other software for PDFs called Soda PDF.
Okay, I've not heard of that.
Which it's sadly not free software, but it's very, very nice software that you can use to make PDFs, and you sort of buy modules, so you only buy what you need. Had I wanted to, I could have made the whole thing in OpenOffice, because you can, of course, drop pictures and things like that into OpenOffice.
Okay. Right. Now, as the book itself, it's a very interesting read, and it came up with things which
thank you.
I had no idea about. And rather than give the full contents of the book, what I think we should do is just sort of select 1 or 2 topics, probably the ones which are close to your heart. First of all, you said starting up on a budget. Got a section on domains and web hosting.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on that?
For about 15 years, I've used a company called names.co.uk, who are UK based, which means that you're talking to somebody just down the road. Okay. And they've been absolutely fantastic over the years. And I've used them for probably about 30, 40 customers over the past 5 years. And they've never let me down.
Right. Okay.
And their control panel isn't complicated. So if I say to somebody, you need to do this in your control panel, it's all quite intuitive, quite easy to use, things like that. And on the ERS Web Solutions site, every couple of months, we also publish coupon codes for them. Okay. And there's a link in that chapter in the book as well, so that people can get money off the domains.
Right.
Not that they're horrendously expensive.
No, but we're saving money straight away.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was just going to throw in, there's a customer of mine that's had real problems with another web host where she's had problems with the domain name. And it's when things like that start happening that you realize the value of a good web host.
Okay, yep.
And their uptime for their servers is above 99%. And in the 15 years odd that I've been using them, I've only known about half an hour is the longest I've known where the facilities went down.
That's pretty good going.
And that was because of a fire in their big server unit in Worcester. And you can't really blame them for that.
No,
if one of your servers goes up in flames, it goes up in flames.
Yeah.
It's never going to be pretty.
If they're recovered in such a short time, then that shows how dedicated they are and how on the ball they are. And that's what you want in a web host, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, for a lot of people, their only shop front is their website. And if you have a problem with that, whether that's the domain name or the hosting, you've got no more shop front. That's your whole front of the world gone.
Yep. So it's important for it to be online 24/7.
Oh yeah, or as near as you can get to that.
Yes, indeed. Right. Okay. Well, we've got the web domains. What about other free websites which can host you?
There are lots of other places you can go for websites. Being a big fan of WordPress that you might have picked up on, I like WordPress.com if you're going to go for a free site, because it's a great way to begin. And if somebody 9-10 months later decides they want to go for a whole self-hosted website, it's very easy to go from WordPress.com across to your own hosted WordPress site.
Yeah.
And there are hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of tutorials all over the internet for doing that.
Yeah. And
what few people realize is that lots of quite big names use WordPress. There's a couple of people that do deliver news called CNN and the New York Times that use WordPress.
Okay, I've heard of those too, yeah.
Yeah, I thought you might have done.
Right.
So it's not just, for the little guy.
No.
But you can start small and build up.
Yeah.
There's names.co.uk have site builder as well. You can, if you want to try and build the site yourself. I'm not a big fan of some of the bigger names.
Right.
I don't know if I can say who they are or not.
You can say what you like. I mean, this is public.
That's fine. I have customers who've used Wix, W-I-X, so you don't confuse them with any other website provider, who have been really let down by them and had no end of trouble. And I tend to have the point of view that if you're going to use a free web provider, it's got to be reliable and it can't be plastered in adverts.
Okay.
And you can't be suddenly going to your website a day later and finding it's gone.
No, that's it. You if you host, as you say, with WordPress.com, providing you stay within their guidelines, it will stay there, won't it? It won't disappear overnight.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've known people who've, in the past, not necessarily my customers, but people I've dealt with online, who have had sort of, 1 million visitors a month through WordPress.com.
Awesome. So
it's quite capable of taking it from a very little beginning right the way up to huge.
Yeah, that's good.
And WordPress.com is run by Automatic, who are the people behind a lot of good things that you see in WordPress.
Yeah.
so they know what they're doing.
It helps, doesn't it, to be
Yeah.
to have that behind you. And you help people actually set up their websites and set up the social media presences.
Oh yeah, I've done all that kind of stuff. I came back into computers about 5 years ago after quite a serious injury, and I get far more satisfaction out of helping the little people get themselves established on the internet, get a business, get themselves going, than I would working for one customer who, where you have lots of, one or two major clients.
Yeah.
And then if, and apart from the fact that it makes sense, because if you've got two clients and one of them disappears, that's 50% plus has gone. Yeah. And I do get a lot of job satisfaction out of the little guy. Mm. And I've got a customer, Sarah, who knew nothing about WordPress 12, 15 months ago, and took her under my wing, sorted out the problems she'd had with the previous web host, and got her going on WordPress. And now she does all her own blogging and everything else, and includes a shop on her website and so on, and is guest blogging on other people's WordPress sites.
That's the way to get the word out, isn't it? Get the confidence on your...
But it's lovely to see that she started from nothing and ended up, guest blogging somewhere else.
Because
and that's how I've had so much experience with small businesses and people like that. And I've run 3 small businesses of my own. Mm-hmm. And I know what it's like when I need something, I haven't got the money for it. What am I going to do next?
Yeah. So that's another motivation for the book, isn't it? To actually give people the resources that they can use. And one of the things that is important in a website is presentation. Presentation comes down to graphics. Now, you can't... What's your position on graphics and free graphics in particular?
I've used free graphics myself. I'm not going to deny it. And a lot depends on your budget and whether you can find graphics to do what you want. There is one horror story that I was told of somebody who designed a website for a medical practice in Harley Street.
Okay.
And they spent a small fortune on the website. And they said to the guy, we've spent more than we originally planned. We'll have to use free photos. And they got free photos of a pretty lady answering the phone. Yep. And it was all great until they discovered that the pretty lady that was answering the phone was also answering the phone in an STD clinic.
Right.
Not really the image you want if you're running a Harley Street practice. But what you can do if you find photos that you like is if you drag and drop them into Google Images, Google Images will tell you where else they're being used.
Right.
And you can then turn around and make sure that that photo you love so much isn't being used somewhere you might not want to associate with.
That's good. Yeah. So just drag it into Google Images, and it comes back.
Yep.
That's good.
And it'll come back and it'll say, you can go just like when you search for anything else. You can search for an image, and as I say, it will show you all the sites that it's used in.
That's good.
Which takes 5 minutes and could save you a whole lot of embarrassment. And in the book, I do list a lot of places where you can get free photos and graphics.
Yeah, there's
even though I'm a graphic designer myself and I do a bit of photography.
It's quite a comprehensive list. And if people are looking for graphics, they can head for those that you recommend and have tried and tested. Because everything in the book about, you've looked at.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes, I have. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is not where I've just sat in front of the search engine for half an hour and grabbed a few resources. It's all stuff that I've used, I've tested, and a lot of the time stuff that I recommend to customers myself.
Right. Okay. Yep. Yeah. That is important because you're actually putting your name on the book and your name behind the links that are in there. And we're talking about you covered about 15 different topics in there. And the next one I want to come to is you've got your website and you've got your graphics in there, and you now want to promote it. Now that's one of the sections in your book covers just a thing. How would you? How would you go about promoting the site?
I mean, one of the best resources, especially if you're in a small business, and there's a whole chapter in the book dedicated to it. It's a website called IFT, which is short for if this, then that.
Okay, yep.
And what you can do with that is you can join up your websites or your WordPress blog and your Facebook and your Twitter, and you can get it to do things like auto posting and things.
Right.
And one of the ways I've seen people use it is one of the, what IFT calls is channels, i.e. where information comes from or goes, is the weather.
Okay.
And I got somebody who did a lot of landscape gardening into using it. And one of the things that we set up was if the temperature goes below zero, that you post on your Twitter and your Facebook saying, by the way, customers, it's gone below zero. Make sure that you keep all your plants warm.
Right, okay.
Which is a really nice fluffy thing that you can do.
True.
And you can set it to do things like automatically, when you make a blog post, send it to Twitter and WordPress. Or every time that you add something to YouTube, put a post on Facebook and Twitter.
Yep.
And you can even link other people's YouTube channels and put that on your Facebook page.
Okay.
And the example I use in the blog is a couple of guys called the Slow-Mo Guys who do very professional slow motion video of all sorts of things, from being hit in the face by a water balloon to paint on a speaker to what happens if you put a banger in some speakers, all sorts of stuff that's on there. And if you're running out of ideas for content, and we all do at times, even on Facebook, that's a great way of getting extra content, because you can put in the Slow-Mo Guys account and say, when they post a new video, put it on my Facebook and my Twitter.
Yep.
And the moment they put it on there, you've gained a Facebook post.
Right.
Or if you're, for example, the landscape gardener, when somebody puts on a new building video, post on your Facebook and your Twitter. So you can get a whole load of extra content. And you can even turn around with things like YouTube videos and ask it to write a draft post in WordPress, which means that it'll put the meat of what you need in your WordPress post. You go in, add a few bits, press the publish button, job done.
Got it.
So there's a lot you can do to try and take the pressure off yourself.
Yeah. So that was ifttt.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Do you want me to drop it in the text?
Yeah, that would be brilliant.
And they are really good, and they're free as well. And there's so much that you can do. There we go.
Brilliant.
And they've got hundreds of ways that you can do stuff. And depending on how much you get into it, you can even connect it to your tablet, iPad, your phone, whatever, so that when something specific happens, you get a message saying, by the way, so-and-so and so-and-so's happened.
Yeah.
And that could be anything from the kid's phone has just arrived at home. And you can even tie it into that, where when a phone arrives at home, it sends you an alert. Or if it's your own phone, you can get it to change your phone to Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Turn up the volume or turn off the volume and everything else.
Right. Okay.
So there's masses and masses of the daily tasks that it can take over for you, as well as helping you promote stuff.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, we'll have to have a look into that. I'm sorry about the bleeps a moment ago. That was my friend John, and he's actually tweeted out our Blab session, which is very kind of him. So
thank you, John.
We might get some more people listening. I mean, the thing about it is, at the end of this, when we do finish, there will be a video which I'll put up on YouTube, and also send you a link to, so you can download it and repurpose it. Because Blab is a great place. I mean, you just chat. We're just chatting to each other. There's no pressure. And we don't think there's anybody watching, but hopefully there is. So if you do like what we're saying, if you click our photos, then you can just make sure we're heading in the right direction. And if you want more people to hear about this, then just press the tweet or the Facebook button. Yeah. So, right now, three things.
Yep.
Basically, how this is a question that interests me. How are you actually promoting the book?
I've got it has its own website that we talked about earlier, and I do some promotion on Facebook and on Twitter.
Okay.
And the plans are for the next edition that comes out, which should be about March and April time, to have it as a Kindle book as well.
That's good. Yep.
And when we launched in December, myself and somebody from a company called Associated Media did a lot of stuff on Twitter and so on about it. And also there is a free sample that you can download from the book site and have a look at the first couple of chapters, which includes the one we were talking earlier about domain names. And also talks about where to get free Office software if you can't afford to pay the rates that Microsoft are demanding.
Right, okay. Can we talk a little about that then?
Yeah, go for it.
The software that is alternative and free.
Yep. My two favourites are Google Docs, which is always worth a look. And I've been a fan for a long, long time of some software called OpenOffice. And that is free. And not only that, it is also run by a community rather than anything else. What's known as open source software that some people may have heard of before. And that means that updates are fairly swift and so on. And OpenOffice will open all the popular formats that you need for spreadsheets, word processing, and presentation software and things like that. And it's very rare that I see it save things like Word documents where they're not saved perfectly fine. And if you're distributing documents, like I am with the Saving Your Business Money book, you can also natively make PDF files. So if you need to send things like invoices out to your customers and you want to send them out as PDFs so that it makes it harder for somebody to try and change bits of it, you can do that in OpenOffice for free. And I can whack the address for that down in the message box for people to have a look at. And there are people that have taken the OpenOffice code and have forked it into a whole new piece of software. There's another one that's very popular called LibreOffice, Libre being Italian for free. If people aren't 100% with OpenOffice, there's Google Docs, which is quite popular.
I use that.
And if you use Dropbox or Google Drive, you can actually get some software called Office Suite, which works on your mobile phone and your tablet. And you can connect that to Google Docs or Dropbox and edit files on your tablet or on your phone.
Brilliant.
So you can actually edit stuff without even having a desktop. And because I think I mentioned at the start when we started chatting, I came back into the computer stuff because I had a bad accident. And the first edition of the book that came out, quite a bit of it was written in Office Suite on both my tablet and my phone. Because at the time I had to rest my leg a lot and couldn't sit at my desk. So you can make complete projects without even needing a desktop computer. And Office Suite has both a free version and a pro version with a few more features. So that's a big one that I really, really like, because there are people, including customers I've got, who don't at the moment have a laptop or desktop. And they can still do all they want. From a mobile phone or a tablet.
Times have changed recently. Progress.
Big time. I mean, I've noticed certainly in the last 12 months massive increases on people that are using mobiles and tablets. And Yale.com and Google did a study about a year ago, and they found that the most popular method for going on the internet throughout the day is between about 7 in the morning and about 9:30. People are using mobile phones. Then desktops through the day until about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening, when tablets are the most popular way of getting onto the internet.
I can,
which is fascinating.
True, that's the way I work. I mean, it's the PC during the day, and then a bit of advertising Samsung tablet in the evening, and that keeps you in touch with everything.
I use a Kindle Fire that goes nearly everywhere with me,
I mean,
and I've got a Samsung S3 that I use as well.
Yeah.
And there's lots that I do that. And just while we're talking phones and tablets, WordPress have a really nice app for phones and tablets that you use to edit pages, posts, things like that. And a few updates ago, WordPress made their back end very, very phone friendly.
Yep.
I've done lots to make it easy for people to do stuff on phones and so on. And when I launched the website that goes to saving your business money, I actually put quite a lot of effort into making sure that it could be used on mobile phones and tablets.
Right. Yeah.
Because I realized that lots of my customers may not be lucky enough to have a desktop like mine with 2 monitors on it.
Yeah. So mobile friendly is important these days.
Oh, big time. Big time mobile friendly. We're at ERS Web Solutions. We've got a relaunch of our website in February that's going to be massively focused on mobile phones and tablets, because that is definitely the way that it's going. And, straight away I can think of a couple of my customers who don't have desktops.
Okay, yep.
And they do everything from the mobile phones and the tablets, including blogging and all sorts. And I think it's the way that it'll go, to be honest.
I totally agree. And the thing is to be one of the in there at the beginning rather than trying to catch up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely worth going for, without a doubt. I bought myself from Amazon a little gooseneck stand for my tablet, and that's fixed beside my bed.
Okay.
So that of an evening I can just leave the tablet by the side of my bed and just go bosh, 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 bosh. Right. Everything's checked and done. I'll carry on watching TV now.
Yeah.
And so on. Right. So it's definitely the way that people are going.
Indeed.
I think. And with more and more people, more and more companies like Virgin Media and EE and 3 Mobile are offering unlimited data plans.
Yep.
And there are people now that are like, I don't need a desktop anymore.
No. Indeed.
I get unlimited data, and the few times that I need a desktop, I'll just nip into the library or I'll go into an internet cafe. Yep. And in Chesham, where I live, which is in Buckinghamshire, it's at the end of the Met line on the London Underground map. Right. So people can, see where I am. We're the first high street in the country that now has dedicated free internet.
Brilliant.
Which means that I think locally in Chesham, we're going to have even more people that are saying, I don't need the desktop and everything else. I'll just go down to the Drawing Room Cafe, Poppins, somewhere like that. I'll use the free internet and do all my stuff.
Right.
And I know several of the staff from Poppins, and I know them quite well because I've done that very thing myself. Gone in and worked from the corner of the cafe. Yeah. And I've noticed definitely in the last 6 months that when I go into Poppins, I'm seeing more people that are sitting there with a laptop or a tablet and doing the internet thing.
Yep.
And I think that's only going to increase.
I wish that Devizes, I'm based in Devizes, Wiltshire, close to Stonehenge. There's a marker. And yes, if we got free Wi-Fi, it would be wonderful. Because it opens up so many different things, doesn't it? I mean, I'm a great fan of walking, and I'm preparing for my marathon Sarsen Trail, which is in June, which is 26 miles across the Salisbury Plain. And my training ground is the canals. It'd be nice if they had Wi-Fi too.
Yes, one of my ambitions one day is to get a canal boat.
Brilliant. And
I'd love to work from a canal boat. And when the weather's nice, which, let's face it, it's not at the moment, when the weather's nice and you think to yourself, you know what, I'll go and see what's around the corner down the canal.
Yeah.
And local to me, if you go out towards Berkhamsted and Tring, you've got the Grand Union Canal. And there's fantastically beautiful scenery there. And it's just a dream for a photographer or anyone that likes natural things. And I used to do a lot of walking myself with Sheppy, my border collie. It's just contributing in the background to the discussion. Until, as I say, I had an injury and badly damaged my leg. We used to love going out for walks local to where I am, because from where I live, if I head up the hill, 10-minute walk, I'm into Lowndes Park. And just down from there, there's a place called Pedner Valley. And that is utterly beautiful. And even with my leg being wonky now, within half an hour from home, I've got big fox dens, badger sets, red kite nests. I know where some barn owls nest and some buzzards nest, and there's all hills and beautiful views. So I can fully understand the whole walking bit.
You can't, and
I do miss it.
You can't beat the British countryside, but as you say, it's on the doorstep, so you can get to it and enjoy it. Right, okay. Well, we'll come back on topic now, because we were
we're having a nice little chat about the scenery and where we live, and promoting the local economy.
Right. Okay. I noticed a friend of yours might have dropped in. If you look on the text bottom right, do you know the gentleman?
Which I saw Clive's joined us.
Mike Johnson.
Don't know if I know Mike or not.
Oh, right. Okay.
I know Clive Wilson, who's joined us, as we used to. We were both in a search and rescue unit together.
Right. Okay.
And we worked together for quite a while at a company called White Star Medical, doing a lot of big events and things like that.
Right.
Until, as I say, the knacker in your leg ended that. Yeah. Because if you can't go running around BMX tracks and things.
No, that's true.
You struggle a bit.
And you, as you say, you changed the business. You 2011, you started in
went back into the computers bit.
Yeah.
And websites. I've done it more of a hobby before then. And done a few websites for friends and people like that. And decided that I had to do something, because I can't sit at home doing nothing all the time, wishing things were different. So I went back into doing the web design, and that's
and the one thing that does come across is your pure love and enjoyment of it, and you desire to help others. In business.
I mean, I one of my customers, Sarah from Lingotastic,
it's a small world.
You know Sarah?
Well, and
she mentioned she might know.
My partner Angelica knows her. They met up in London. They meet up in London every year.
Yes. She did mention on Facebook that she knew your other half.
Yeah.
And I met Sarah through another customer, and she needed to get her website sorted out, which we did. Okay. And I gave her some training in WordPress and so on. And she blogs and guest blogs and things now. And her business has grown. Yeah. And I'm sure she won't mind me saying that she now employs her son and her husband's working with her. And I love that so much that I came to her when she was struggling and I gave her some help. And now she's, the business grows. Yeah. And Sarah's such a lovely lady. And it's so nice to see that, people's businesses are growing and you've helped contribute to that. Yep. And it's such good job satisfaction. And as I mentioned earlier, I'd rather have a dozen customers like that than work for a big corporate where everyone says, oh, no, we've got to speak to accounts. Yeah. We've got to speak to marketing about the branding. We've got to go and have a meeting about this and a meeting about that. And then the board have got to sign off on it. And you're just like, all I wanted was a yes or a no, whether that blue was the right blue. Yeah. And that's just not me,
No, I enjoy working with smaller companies too. I mean, I write software for a living for distributors and manufacturers, and I totally enjoy that because you're helping people every day. And of course, people are actually seeing your work is out there. I mean, you say you've got all these customers, and at the bottom of their website it says "designed by," and that's brilliant.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I do like
coming back to Sarah for a moment. I mean, it is a small world because Angelica is running a 30-day Learn German challenge at the moment.
Yep.
And Lingotastic and Sarah are providing one of the prizes. So that's how small the world is.
Yeah, I speak a scattering of German, not, a massive amount. A little French, and I know a few phrases in Arabic.
Right.
And sign for the deaf. So I know where you come from with the learning languages. And it is really fun. And I can remember when I was helping run a small security firm, coming back across the underground, and it was so good that I'd managed to help somebody in German, French, and sign language in one journey across the underground. And you're like, that's like really cool, you know? They're tourists, one German, one French, and somebody who was struggling who was deaf, and they're all on their way now.
Right. Okay.
And it is quite fascinating. But in the German bit, there's a really funny story that you and your partner will probably appreciate.
Okay,
where Renée Zellweger, the actress, who was in Switzerland at the time, and she speaks incredibly fluent German.
Right.
And she was in a little cafe in Switzerland, and a German couple was stood behind her, and they were arguing about whether that was Renée Zellweger. And the lady was saying, no, that woman's not pretty enough to be Renée Zellweger, and she's too short, and all this. And Renée Zellweger was stood there like, don't say anything, don't say anything, don't say anything. And in the end, she just turned around, looked at these two German people, and was like, I hope you know I speak fluent German, in German to them. And they were both just like, and I am Renée Zellweger, and then just turned back and left them to it.
Brilliant.
So it is quite quite fun speaking languages. I mean, I'm nowhere near Sarah's standard at all, but it does fascinate me, and I'm fascinated at the way languages develop.
Oh yeah, I agree entirely. So, I mean, I'm ever so glad. Back in the day, I learnt Latin.
Latin, no good on Latin. You're on your own on Latin.
But Latin is the root of so many European languages.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we're digressing again, which means we're having fun. If anybody's got any questions, then please post them, or if you want to join us on camera, you're more than welcome to do so. We've been chatting.
Yep, I'm quite happy answering whatever questions I can, whether it's about the book or somebody needs a free place, needs to know where to get something for free. I do have a load of questions that people have asked, I've answered, that's on the website. Okay. If people are a bit shy about asking them, there is a thwack page on the website.
Okay.
It'd be nice if somebody asked some questions.
Yeah, but it may well happen. If it doesn't, then if you now post the URL link again for the book and the code.
Yep, I'll add the book and the code again for you. What was quite funny, talking about just touching on foreign languages, was SYBM, the initials of the book, actually goes to an obscure site that looks like it's in Japanese or Chinese, which just, that amused me no end when someone's saying, I tried to get to your website and it was all in Japanese and Chinese. And you're like, you didn't, you put the wrong address in.
Indeed. I'm going to switch the recording off in a minute because we've amazingly been going for 40 minutes, and
wow,
I can't see. Well, we've found that the sort of 40-45 minutes is the best length for a YouTube video, so
that's fine.
It's been
just to touch just to sort of end on something useful that people can use while we're talking languages, because not a lot of people speak keyboard. If you go to Google, the search engine in Chrome, and some other browsers are introducing it, you'll see to the right of the search box there's a little microphone. And if you click on it, you can actually turn around and ask Google for things. You could, for example, click on it and say, what's 4 inches in centimeters?
And
it will then speak back to you with the sizes. So if you're somebody that does a lot of sort of carpentry and stuff, that can be a really handy little assistant.
Indeed.
Google, what's this in centimeters? Or, what's 5 pounds 10 ounces in grams, and all that sort of thing, which is something else I touch on in the book. But it's been really great talking to you.
Good.
And I'm more than happy if anyone has questions for them to mention them to me, or message me through the book, or via the company Facebook page or anywhere else. But thank you very much for having me.
You're more than welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure, Elliott. And I would like to invite you back when version 3 of your book is released.
I will be more than willing to come and chat when version 3 comes out. Some point about April, it'll probably be.
Right. Would you stay where you are? I'm just going to pause the